with Amarillo Land Services. I want you to come join me. We're going to go look at some steps for installation that I want you to learn. That way you have the knowledge when you get out to the field. So let's go check some things out. Give everybody a tote, and in that tote you're going to get primer and glue. You'll have your yellow cutters. Two of our totes have these bigger cutters for our 1.25 pipe. We have wire strippers, and then you're able to go to the trailer and get some of the fittings you need. That way you're not having to walk back and forth, and I will show you the trailer and go over that. Alright, just to go over the trailer a little bit, we have different colored milk crates, and the way these milk crates are set up is the red is going to be 1.25 inches, the brown is 1 inch, green is 3/4, and so as you can see, you can come in here pretty quick and find what you're looking for. So you got tees, so like this tees, that's considered a slip. See how it's smooth? So that's a slip tee. Elbows, and then here's your 1 inch. Elbow, tees, slip by thread. You can see the threads right here. So that's a slip by threaded tee. This is a 1 inch by half. I'll just set that there so we can see it. Here's a 1 inch by 3/4 slip by thread. You can see the difference. And then if you're still confused, right here on the tee, on every fitting, it's written what it is. So there's a 1 by 1 by 3/4 threaded. Okay, here's a 45. All of our 45s are going to be slip by slip. And then as the same with the tees, we have elbows. So there's a 1 inch by half slip by thread. Okay, here is a bushing or reducer, and it tells you right there this is a 1 inch by 3/4 reducer or bushing. So this is super simple to come up to this trailer and find what you're looking for. Mel adapters, valves, here's our drip box, and then here's 3/4. Same thing with 3/4, has all the same items. And then the last thing that I want to talk to you about is a king drain. So we have a bunch of king drains on here, and I'll show you where to utilize those. And then here's a bull nose. So if you're running 1 inch and then you need to tee out to 3/4, that's a bull nose. So you'd have 1 inch coming from your valve maybe, and then able to go to 3/4. Okay, let's talk about a king drain. There's your king drain. You saw it on the trailer as well. And that gets put on at your lowest point for every zone. So every zone that we install has to have a king drain. That allows when the pressure comes off, it's going to let that drain. It'll drain out of there. That's why it's at a 45-degree angle, and allows the water to get off the head so nothing freezes. Every zone has to have it. Do not forget that. Alright, the first thing we're going to demonstrate is how we build our heads. The first thing we're putting on is the 90-degree barb. The gray barbs are for 3/4 inch, and those will be on the rotors. And then we're going to take the top off the rotor. This makes the installation of the nozzle a lot easier. So all you got to do is slide this collar down, and that will expose the spot, the orifice for the nozzle. The nozzle has 2 ears on it and has the number of the nozzle, so that'll be on the blueprint. And so you just match the nozzle to what's on the blueprint, push it all the way in, and then we have a set screw on top. And that's how you install the nozzle. And all you got to do is, after you get that screw in, I'll show you the screw. So as you can see, there's your screw that holds the nozzle in, so that nozzle won't come out, and then you'll just put the body back on, and that's how you put a nozzle in the 5000 series rotor. Now we're going to show you how we install our heads. So right here, this black barb, I've showed you the 3/4. The half is black. That's what we always use on our pipe. And so Josh is going to stick our Rainbird flex pipe onto that barb. And especially with it being cold, you really got to waller it on and just press, and you're jiggling it, and make sure that you pass all the barbs like he's done. So they have barbs on there. You want to make sure that black pipe is past all that. That's perfect. Okay, so he has this roll of pipe here. He's going to pull it out. He's going to get it real close so we don't have any waste. And using his yellow pipe cutters, he's going to cut this black pipe. Now we're ready for the head. So his head's already got his barb on from him putting on the nozzles. He did that at the same time. And using the same method, he's going to work that black pipe all the way across all those barbs. Perfect. Okay, and the last thing, he's going to use the dirt that's by the head and set the head. So we want that head set just above ground level. Packed in. And then he's going to make sure that the head is set correctly. So this is a 90-degree head. He's already made that adjustment to 90 degrees, so he's just going to validate that his stops are where they need to be. Looks like that one just needs to go a little further. I'll do it without gloves on. So what you're looking for, there's a stop there. It's throwing a little too far. We're going to push it and push it back. So now that head is set. And so when we do our final setting of heads, it'll be really close. And if you need to adjust it, you can put your screwdriver in the back side of the head, and it has a plus or minus, and that's how you make your adjustment from 90 to 180, whatever you need there. So that's how you put a head in with the black pipe, set it just right above grade, pack it in, and we're ready to backfill ditches. Valve box location. We got pipes coming in. They've been getting pipes over here, and so there's no confusion. You can see what they've done here. They've labeled everything with their Sharpie. That makes it quick and easy when the guy comes in to install the manifold here. Another thing to notice is our depth. We want to be around 16 inches for our main line, and so making sure we got a good clean out here, making sure this valve box area is level, and this just makes for a cleaner install. Okay, we're getting ready to install our manifolds. These are pre-built. We pre-built on days that we can't work. So we have a bunch of these built. This is we call this a 3-banger. We have 2s, 4s. I prefer a 3 over a 4, but there's sometimes a 4 just as needed. So Eric is getting set up to cut these, put his valve in. And the way we've built these, this is schedule 40. So when you cut that, glue your valve on, you glue the piece you cut off to the front. So that way there's schedule 40 on both sides of the valve. So Eric has a method of measuring just so that they're all the same. So he'll mark that and then get these set up, and he'll have one drip here. Okay, we're getting ready to cut these. He has them marked. And if you notice, with these cutters and our yellow cutters, especially with it cold out, it's below freezing every morning when we start, these pipes will crack. So it's vital that, as you see him starting to put pressure on, he's also scoring it to make sure that he gets a good cut and we're not pinching that pipe, causing a crack. Sometimes you won't see that crack and it'll just cause you problems. So he's setting those to the side, and we'll use that on the front of the valve when we get to that point. This one he's cutting a little bit shorter. This will be where our drip valve goes. You can see our drip valve there. It's quite a bit longer than a normal valve, so that's why he's cut it back so it'll fit in the box. Okay, we're getting ready to glue our valves into place. So one thing real important, you notice how he's holding that dauber. He's pinching the piece coming down to the dauber itself and not holding it by the cap. If you hold it by the cap, the dauber will break off the cap and it just causes you problems. Your solenoid that deal with the wires, that's on the furthest away from your main line. And so one thing to pay close attention to is he's not using a ton of glue in that valve. If you over glue the valve, it'll seal up an orifice and it will not work. So it's really important that you just don't glob glue on the valve. Eric takes extra time to make everything lined up perfect. And so where that solenoid is, here, I can show you here. Where the solenoid is an orifice. Let's see if you can see it. There's an orifice right in here, right inside that lip. If you glue that, if you get glue in that orifice, it does not work. So I'll show you. Go ahead, Eric, you're good. So there's your two orifices. There's one in the middle and the one in the back. The solenoid is what makes this valve work. If you get glue in there when you're gluing these, the valve won't work. We got to tear it apart and it is a time waster. So we want to make sure that we're taking our time gluing those valves in properly. You want a good glue, but you don't want to over glue it. Eric is making sure everything is nice and clean. He's making sure that he doesn't over glue anything. Giving that quarter turn. So that's perfect. That valve isn't going to go anywhere. It's nice, it's glued up. We're not going to have any problems with too much glue in the orifice. That's how it should look. All right, the next thing we're going to do is Eric's going to build this drip valve. It's just a couple of more steps. So we use the plumber's paste, which is a no-no, but we do it, we're careful with it, we understand some of the problems it could cause you, so we just make sure we're really clean about it. So on the front, a female 1-inch adapter is required. We use Schedule 80. I'm sure you can see it right there. We use Schedule 80 on our male and female adapters. Careful to not get it on the inside, Eric. Yep. Sorry for the wind today. Part of it though, right, Eric? It's always windy, it's always cold. Okay, so he's got this front female adapter on, so now he's going to work on his back male adapter. And this is the one that's so important about not getting that paste at the tip of that. You do not want that to get into your valve. You should be using tape, but it's really hard, especially out here in the wind. It's almost impossible to get that to lay down, and so this is just easier for the guys. And most people would say that the paste or tape isn't even required, but man, I've tightened these extremely tight and still had them leak. So I have my guys put the paste on them. Like I said, it definitely says on the valve, do not paste, do not put the plumber's paste on there. It's what we do, so that is just for us. Other way, like this. Yep. So he's gonna get that a little cinched down. I bet that's good. And now your drip valve is ready to be glued on. Notice how he always keeps his lid on top of his glue. That wind will dry that glue out and run it. And that is extremely expensive, especially when there's 3 or 4 on a job. The last thing we need is a glue or a primer spilt. That's a good looking manifold. Let's see. So that's the way it should turn out. That looks really great. And then he'll tie that into the main line. Tie in, you notice, let's see if I can zoom in. Right there behind his hand, he has everything labeled. So he knows what everything is, and he'll be ready to tie all this together, wire it in, and that'll be good to go. Okay, Eric's gonna put the primer on both pieces, and you notice he's holding the stem of your dauber. That way you can put pressure and they will break off the cap if you don't do that. So we've primered both sides. Now he's gonna glue both sides. So this is more of a weld than glue. That primer is gonna soften the pipe, and it welds the 2 pieces together, the fitting to the pipe. So when he slides this on, he's going to give it a quarter turn, pushes it on, puts it where he needs to be. Just like that. That's how we glue. You notice there's no excess primer, no excess glue. We're keeping the area clean. Some of the things to be mindful of is we don't set our primer in the concrete. It will stain the concrete, so and we try to keep them together and make sure we don't knock them over. So we'll watch him glue one more piece. Make sure we get our glue all the way around. Pushing it in turn, he's cleaning off the excess glue, and that's a good glue joint. Okay, so I showed you a reducer on the trailer. Here it is glued into the elbow. And so this is how this will look. It's going to glue onto our 3/4 inch pipe. But beyond here, we're having to switch to 1 inch because we're carrying more than 8 gallons of water. So that's what kind of my rule of thumb is for everybody, is at 8 gallons, we're going to switch over to 1 inch. So Chris knows that he's picked up at least 8 gallons or close to it, and it's time to switch over to 1 inch. This zone is headed back to the valve. So he's going to glue that on, do his 1/4 turn, make sure he's set up the way he needs to be. It's clean. You notice there's no drips of primer here. That's why we call him Chris the Dauber Davis.
The fastest popper